So lately we've been in a little bit of a holding pattern with projects. Although the Monte Carlo and the 55 just recently came home, my next challenge is trying to figure out how to prioritize everything. But I took a break from all that Thursday night when we went into BD Mongolian Barbecue to celebrate Allison's 23rd birthday. I think all of us took turns trying to keep Wyatt occupied, and in order to burn off some of his energy before bedtime, Billy decided to make a little side trip over to Guitar Center. Now here's a little tidbit of information that you may not know about me and Billy. We both like to play drums. The problem is they're pretty annoying to everybody who doesn't like to hear it. But these days they make electronic drum sets, and you can instantly tune the drums and change the volume electronically. You can also use a set of headphones so only the person playing the drums actually hears what they sound like. All of this sounds like a very viable solution to keeping Mr. Pookie entertained in the future. So anyway, that's what we were up to Thursday night. And then Friday morning, I wanted to try and get a little bit of work done on Mom and Dad's 55. Kenny had already started trying to put the headers on, but unfortunately the driver's side header has to come up from the bottom, and it has to be almost completely vertical to get it in the car. So that means we need to get the 55 on a lift, and the only one currently available is the 2-post up in my shop. So we're going to need to jockey cars around a little bit to make this happen. A job that should be simple enough, but par for the course around here, things get complicated in a hurry. As I backed the Malibu out of the shop, I heard something rattling underneath the car. So now the lift that I thought was available is likely going to be tied up for an hour or two while I work on this problem with the Malibu's exhaust system.
Defective. Defective.
Evidently, today's going to be one of those days that starts off with a simple project that leads to frustration and is amplified by other little problems that pop up out of nowhere. So by the time I got down to Buckeye Lake to see Mark, I was feeling a little bit like Archie Bunker. The exhaust hangers underneath my car are fairly new. Now I intend to replace both of them and pick up a set of overpriced wiper blades while I'm here.
How you doing, sir?
Where's your fearless leader?
He is in his office.
Now, it's been a while since I've let Mark have it with both barrels. It's been a while since I kicked you square in the nuts.
It has.
My brother's been doing it while I've been gone.
Yeah, he's been taking care of business.
I got a bone to pick with you.
Wow, what?
Defective exhaust hangers.
What? What do you mean defective exhaust?
That's exactly what I mean,
Well,
defective exhaust hangers.
I've never heard of that before.
Well, let me show you the evidence.
Okay.
I need a pair of exhaust hangers, preferably ones that don't have a rivet that falls out of them and drops my exhaust on the ground.
Really? The rivet came out?
Now, the defective set came in CarQuest boxes. What kind of rat's nest are you operating back
this is
here?
my changeover rat's nest. I got stuff kind of.
Why does it still say CarQuest out front?
Well, we haven't addressed this stuff yet.
You're a transgender parts store. Once we dealt with the defective exhaust hanger issue, we then turned our attention to the wiper blade situation on my dad's pickup.
These are black. Yours are silver. I'm going to try to keep the originality of the wipers.
I just need something that clears the windshield.
Well, this will do it then.
Do you offer professional installation?
We do. With
Do
a
you?
Smile. Yeah, with a smile.
The smiles didn't last too long once we went outside to put these wiper blades on. Now what? You're trying to sell me the wrong blades.
No, this was John. He looked these up. They're not right. I got to go get the right ones because he doesn't have the right ones. It's hard to find good help.
I learned a long time ago, if you can make sure something fits before you leave, do it. See, if I would have taken those back to the shop to put them on myself, I would have found out once I got back there that you sold me the wrong ones. I don't take any chances from here on out.
I know. You know better, don't you?
Eventually, Mark got me fixed up with the correct wiper blades, and now that I can actually see where I'm going, I head back to the shop. Now, when I got sidetracked earlier by this exhaust hanger problem, I completely forgot that Colin from Michiana Trailer Sales was supposed to meet me at the shop 20 minutes ago. Well, look who it is.
How you doing?
Pretty good. So, this thing shows up today. I almost forgot you were coming.
Yeah, well, I'm here.
You showed up while I was down at Mark's getting some parts, but so this thing, somebody ordered this trailer, didn't pick it up,
Right?
and you've helped us out a bunch. You fixed my trailer, I don't know how many damn times. You fixed Billy's stuff. You're all the time helping us. I said, well, why don't you bring that thing out here, see if I can't help you move it. So here it is.
We appreciate that too.
No, I appreciate you. So what is this thing? It's a 20-foot enclosed.
Got 8.5 by 20, 7-foot interior height.
Nice.
Alumitech sided, seamless, no screws.
Yeah, no screws. That is
Discovery
nice.
trailer. Triple tube tongue, 6-inch frame. 16 on center, so
When you say 24 on center, you're talking about the braces underneath the floor.
yes, sir.
So this one's 16 on
16
center
on center.
instead of 24.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's nice.
And it also comes with a pretty decent warranty, and the guys at Discovery, you know, they do a great job putting everything together. So
It's a brand new
all-
trailer with a 3-year warranty.
brand new trailer and very well built by Discovery, just like Billy
Yeah, the
Stacker and
one,
everything.
same people that built Billy Stacker.
Yep.
So it's slate gray, seamless, screwless,
080. Metal.
80 thousandths aluminum siding. It's
Yep.
really nice. Let's look inside of it. Oh, it's a V nose. It's a V nose. All right.
Has a finished sidewall,
Yeah.
so it's not just your basic
Right.
Dry Max or OSB on the wall. So you got a little bit of aesthetically pleasing.
And you could put a race car in here, or you could use it for, you know, landscaping, things like that.
Speaking of landscaping, it's got the beaver tail too, so there's a nice transition.
Oh, nice.
You have a 0-turn motor.
Oh, okay.
That also aids to the multiple uses this trailer could serve.
Right.
It's blacked out. It's the slate gray with the blackout. That's
Yeah.
very popular. I know you traditionally like the more polished look, but
I'm old school.
right. I mean, you got that 55 in there. I seen the polish on that thing. I know why you like it. This is a new color Discovery displayed at the PRI show.
Right.
And this is the last one. So someone will be lucky enough to get
So this
the
is a
last
hard
one.
color to get,
Oh,
is
yeah.
what you're saying.
High demand, hard color to get.
Okay. It's got LED lighting.
All LED, 7-way plug all the way to the back. Let me come back up to the front, show you the hookup too as well. Discovery always supplies a coupler latch,
Yeah.
a bungee, emergency brake cable, so you know when you're dragging
Oh, okay.
cable and that always gets
Yeah.
destroyed.
Yeah.
You got a nice hook to go right to your.
Nice.
It's a lot of the creature comforts like that I appreciate that Discovery does, and along with their craftsmanship. And if you want to go back to the back, we can load the big door down. And you can put a side-by-side in this trailer. It's tall enough.
Right.
Good door spring, not too heavy to let the door down or anything like that. D-rings in the back, D-rings in the front. You can pull this trailer with any 1500 Tahoe, Suburban, Silverado.
Right. This is a nice little trailer.
Yep.
And I see it's got a little bit of a wedge up here in the front, like,
This is a mid V. Oh yeah, slant. It's a mid V. It's not a deep V.
Yeah.
And it's got a slant top rooftop.
yeah,
Yep. So that does help with
a little more
more
aerodynamic.
aerodynamic and less resistant to parasitic drag while you're driving down the road.
Well, I'll see if I can't help move this thing.
We appreciate it. I'm sure you'll have no trouble. So who wouldn't want to win this trailer, you know?
Right.
So I would love to win it. So good luck to someone out there, right?
Somebody will win one. You just did one the other day with Billy.
Yes.
Somebody in, actually, Muncie, Indiana won that.
Once Indiana, Josh Wright, I believe his name was. Very nice guy. I mean, insane how things work and things come together, and you guys are just helping people out left and right. It's pretty awesome to be a part of and everything like that. So
Well, we appreciate your help. Like, you've helped us so much. This is the least I could do to help you move a trailer that somebody didn't come to get. You know what I mean? Help each other out a little bit. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you.
no
Thank
problem.
you very much.
Thank you.
So after Colin dropped the trailer off out in the driveway, it was time to get back to work on my projects in the shop. Kenny and I got the exhaust repaired underneath the Malibu, and now finally I think my lift in the shop is open for the 55. Since we're basically swapping spots between the 55 and the Malibu, we need to get both of them set back on all four wheels. Then we needed to move this new trailer out of the way to make the turn around the tree out front so I can get the car squared up with the front garage door. Now once we get the brand new Hooker ceramic coated headers put on the 55, we've still got to build a new exhaust system for it. I also want to replumb and rewire the entire car. Now I'll likely go ahead and update the ignition system from the old 6AL box to one of the newer digital style ignition boxes like the one that Billy had on his 69 C10, where you can change the ignition timing through your phone using Bluetooth. Anyway, once we got the 55 moved up to the front shop, I pulled the Malibu in out back, and then Kenny and I got straight to work on getting this driver's side header installed up in the car. Now, Mom and Dad's 55 Chevy would have never turned out this nice without the help of the kids up at the body shop. When they talked me into doing a frame-off rotisserie restoration on the body, I didn't fully realize what that meant. Obviously, they told me that the bottom of the car would look nice, but ultimately it's going to make us step our game up so that everything we do matches the same level of attention to detail as House of Pearls. You know, typically once you get a car home, major project like this, you put it up on the lift and you start looking around underneath of it and you're like, well, you know, they missed a bolt here, they missed a screw there, or this doesn't quite line up. No, look at this. Every single nut and bolt is brand new. Even the little rubber washers that go back here behind the bumper bracket to the bumper, everything. It's just like it's supposed to be. Now the inner fenders, they went ahead and rhino lined for me because they knew I was going to drive this thing. But everything else is gloss. What do you think, Kenny?
It's gonna be impossible to keep it clean.
You like cleaning everything.
Yeah, this
Well, I got something for you. That thing's beautiful underneath.
Yeah, there's a lot of real estate of black. A lot.
So we got a lot of work left to do on this thing. The fuel pump used to hang underneath the floor pan, underneath the trunk, and it was just tech screwed to the old floor. That's not happening. I'm not doing that again. I'm not drilling holes in this brand new floor pan. So we need to get a fuel pump mounted in the back. Obviously, all new fuel lines. Jeremy did do all new brake lines on it while the body was off the frame up at the body shop. So thankfully the brake lines are done up to the master cylinder, but we don't have the master and the brake booster. The air conditioning stuff, like all that stuff is still up at the body shop. And I was going to have Buckwheat come with his little white enclosed trailer and haul it back, but I haven't had any luck locating Buckwheat in the last couple of days. So I think I might just rob that trailer out there that they just brought down here. I might just take it up there and go grab that stuff up tomorrow. All right, everybody, good morning. It is Saturday morning. The side-by-side is leaving today. The guy who won it on my waffle is coming to pick it up. He's from Tennessee, and I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing pulled out for him. Get it put out front so you can see it when he pulls in. When Vicky put the kibosh to me keeping this thing, I did a Facebook raffle on it, which actually filled up pretty quick. Billy and I have done these things a handful of times, and I think that's what I'm going to do to help move this enclosed car trailer. All right, we got that thing pulled out front. Kenny's out there cleaning the windows up on it a little bit. The guy should be here in a few minutes. Once we get this thing loaded up and get it down the road, we're going to hook to that little trailer out there and go up and get the parts from the body shop for the 55 and get them brought back. What's going on, guys? Make it okay?
It was a haul, though.
It was. Where are you from?
Jackson, Tennessee.
Jackson, Tennessee. Well, Kenny's got it all cleaned up for you. Kind of a funny story here with Adrian. When I posted the raffle, I had made a mistake. And to correct my mistake and apologize to Adrian, I gave him a free spot in the raffle, and that's the spot that won. So Adrian and his dad drove all the way up from Jackson, Tennessee today, not only to pick up his new side-by-side, but to tour the shop and check out the cars as well. Since the weather's nice today, I decided to take them both a ride. Over the last several years, Billy and I have done several giveaways and raffles, and somehow, some way, it always seems like the perfect person wins. And as Adrian's dad said, it's definitely a blessing. Now, is this a street car or is this a street car?
Really a street car. Yes, it is. Awesome street car. I love it. I love it. I love it.
I honestly think that Adrian's dad and Adrian were more excited about getting to take a ride in the Malibu than they were about picking up the side-by-side. Once we got done riding around the Malibu, we all went up to the front shop to take a look at all the cars up there. They were very impressed with the turbo kit that Bipolar Performance built and the paint job on Mom and Dad's 55. All right, boys. You guys are going to head back to Tennessee. I'm headed back up to the body shop. Man, I'm glad you guys made it up here today. The weather was nice. We got to go for a ride in the Malibu. How about that Malibu?
It was awesome. My heart still going boom, boom, boom.
While Adrian and his dad are headed back to Jackson, Tennessee with their new side-by-side, me and Kenny were headed north up to House of Pearls, pulling this brand new Discovery enclosed car trailer that Colin dropped off yesterday. From what I can tell, this trailer tows as good as it looks. It's kind of crazy how it showed up yesterday just in time for me and Kenny to use it to go up to the body shop and haul back all the loose parts that were removed from the car during the restoration process at House of Pearls. The 55 project started out as a business transaction, but we've become very close friends with Paul, Nikki, and Jesse, and we very much look forward to working on projects with them in the future. All right, guys, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I love that car. It looks so good.
Yep.
I can't wait to get it all done.
Man, I can't wait to see it driving on the road. And
Yeah, I'll come get you. We'll go for a ride
in the
on a
front-
nice day.
Yeah.
Be surprised how much that like front and rear windshield's going to do, because it adds a lot to
Oh,
the shape
yeah,
of the
yeah,
car.
yeah.
I'm really antsy to see. I was antsy for you to see it up on the lift. Now that you've seen it, now I'm antsy for you to see it with the glass, and it's gonna, which you already know. But yeah, next one will be this one.
Yep.
So as soon as we get some parts, we'll get that knocked out.
I think I like that red.
Man, it's going to be beautiful. I think we should do a very similar red to that. So it's gives you the best of both worlds. It's kind of vibrant, like
Yeah.
it can't, like almost as vibrant as a traditional candy, but you can touch it up. It's just a candy base coat. Yeah, that would look so awesome.
I trust you.
Yeah.
By now, right?
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
By Sunday morning, we had to switch gears and move cars around yet again. Kenny and I pushed Mom and Dad's 55 Chevy out in front of the shop so we can put the Biscayne up on the lift. As you saw in my last video, I took the transmission down to Lonnie at Xtreme Automatics so he could go through it and figure out why it won't shift at wide open throttle. According to Lonnie, the TV cable adjustment is critical, so he brought the transmission back today and is going to help us put it in. What's going on, man?
Not too much, my brother. We're trying to get this thing lined out.
So you brought me some parts up here. We got to make sure that this linkage fits the carburetor properly.
That is correct.
And so when you told me that the other day, I thought, you know what, I probably better get the carburetor that we're going to actually use on the car.
It helps because the arms are all a little different.
Right.
And like I said, I looked at it earlier. I said, man, that's a standard Holly arm. But when we got to looking at it, we found out that it's similar to a Holly arm. It's not
Right.
a standard Holly.
Right. So we're going to try and get this transmission up in there, and you're going to show me how to make sure that the TV cable is adjusted properly
Absolutely correct.
before we ever put fluid in it.
Absolutely. The car does not need to run to do what we're going to do.
So before we begin to put the transmission in, we're going to swap carburetors from this 650 vacuum secondary quick fuel to an ATM 750 mechanical secondary. Lonnie brought with him this kit to correct the geometry on the throttle arm so that the TV cable operates properly. However, we also need a new fuel line kit for this carburetor. So you're going to make a run to Jegs for me, because that fuel line won't work with the new carburetor. You're not to engage anyone. Don't embarrass me. When you go in there, don't talk to them people like you do Chumpy. While Buckwheat's making a parts run to Jegs, we realized we have yet another problem. The factory mechanical throttle linkage has some issues and is not allowing the carburetor to get full throttle. So it looks like to us that this thing has never had wide open throttle even before. So we are sending my brother into Jegs, and I've called ahead, and we've got a couple different throttle cable options with different pedals. He's going to bring both of them back, plus what the hell did the fuel line. I sent him in there for a fuel line. So he's going to bring all this shit back, and hopefully out of what he brings back, we can make something work. So Buckwheat cruises into Jegs to go pick up parts for me and hopefully save the day.
It's interesting looking.
It is. If it comes from my brother, it's usually interesting looking.
I don't think he did this though. I think this was like pre-done. This is before built. This is BB.
Yeah. So does it look like Numbnuts is going to be good with all this?
Yes. Yeah, it's gonna look good.
Thanks, Uncle Terry.
No problem, man. No
Hopefully he
problem.
gets him all together. And
Yeah, that'll get him a lot better than that, and you're good to go.
About 2 hours later, Buckwheat re-emerges at the shop with my parts. About time.
Shit.
What took you so long?
what are you talking about?
I told you to go in there and not to engage anybody.
Like that's going to happen.
As we started to unpackage everything, it became clear to me that there's a chance that the Biscayne may not move under its own power this afternoon. Our plan was to change the car from mechanical linkage over to a cable. We weren't sure which style pedal we needed, so Buckwheat brought back both. You better not have brought me the wrong stuff.
I didn't order it.
Since there was some question as to which pedal we needed, I had him bring back both styles. So that's not the right one?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to work.
So at this point, we're in big trouble. We have to straighten out this throttle linkage issue before we can even put the transmission up in the car. While we're battling this throttle problem out in the shop, my attention was called to a battle that's going on in the house. Vicky is literally pulling her hair out after Wyatt got into the dog food and distributed it all over the downstairs carpet. So I was called on to take Mr. Pookie out to the shop and help watch him while Vicky cleans up his mess in the house. Papaw got him something to drink and something to eat while he helped me work on carburetors and supervise the process of modifying the original throttle arm while Grandma continues to clean up his mess in the house. Tell me something good.
We're done. It's ready to go. We're ready to put the transmission in and actually do the TV adjustment.
Oh, thank God. It's got wide open throttle now?
It's wide open throttle now. Everything is in place. We're ready to do it.
I don't think it ever had wide open throttle. I don't think that's possible.
There is no way possible it had wide open throttle.
That's crazy.
It bottomed out right at the point that the secondaries would start to open. There was no more movement left, so it definitely did not have wide open throttle.
All right, so we've gotten through this predicament. Kenny's got a fuel line on it now. That's just temporary because I plan on swapping this intake. And when we do that, the intake's going to get taller, so the fuel line's going to have to change. So I know that looks a little whopper-jawed right now, but it's going to get us through the day.
Absolutely will.
All right. So now what do we do? Transmission time?
Put transmission in and get a TV cable on, and we're ready to do it.
Thank God.
Yes.
After successfully solving the problems in the garage and in the house, it's finally time to slide the converter in this 204R and get it back in the transmission tunnel under the Biscayne where it belongs. It's a relatively tight fit in between the headers, but with the transmission jack and a little bit of elbow grease, Kenny and Lonnie managed to get it up in there without too much trouble. Once the bell housing bolts were in, the cross member was next, leaving the converter bolts, transmission shift linkage, drive shaft installation, and of course hooking up the transmission cooler lines, and finally the TV cable.
Okay, what we did was we installed this arm right here in the TV cable. This arm changes the geometry to shorten the stroke. Closer you get to the center, shorter the stroke is. So what we've done is we've adjusted it up to where it actually, at wide open throttle, it actually bottoms out the TV plunger inside the transmission, and it should be pretty close. And Sonics will tell you that it's right, but we're not going to trust Sonics. We're going to pull the pan down from the idle position to make sure that the length in between the plunger and the lifter is exactly somewhere between 1/600 to 1/800. And if it is, we're done.
So we're dropping the pan down now so we can check this cable.
Correct.
And typically there wouldn't be fluid in it, but you've had this thing on the dyno, so it does still have a little bit of fluid in it.
It's still got fluid in it. Not much, but
just a little.
Just enough. We're going to check the distance of this TV lifter from here to here to make sure it falls in the distance that we need it to be.
So this is a measurement that you take with it at idle, the throttle linkage at idle.
Correct. When we open the throttle, this TV lifter will be flush, and now we're actually checking it from the idle position.
According to Sonics, this plunger should be sticking out between 600 and 800 thousandths of an inch. Ours measured about 670 thousandths, which thankfully is within spec. Now the only thing we've got left to do is put the pan back on and fill it with fluid. So Lonnie, about how many quarts should we put in it just to get started?
I would put 6 quarts in it and then start it up and then top it off from there. I wouldn't put any more than 6 because it more than likely will come out the overflow tube into the floor.
Now, when I top transmissions off, I've always taught the kids not to top them off cold to the full mark.
No.
What, about 1/4 of an inch below the full mark when they're cold?
Man, when they're, I wouldn't top one off. I would do it with only if they're hot. So I would run them until they're at least warm and running, and then I would top them off from there. I wouldn't try to do it cold.
Yeah, because most dipsticks, like the factory dipsticks, will say full hot.
That's correct.
Not full period, full hot.
That is correct.
And that's a pretty serious thing, because if you fill them up to the full mark when they're cold and then you get them scorching hot, especially in a turbo application,
it'll blow fluid everywhere.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No, absolutely not. Since
this whole fiasco took a lot longer than we expected, Lonnie's got to head out of here to run some errands before it's too late. Lonnie, thank you, man.
But it's no problem at all.
I really appreciate you coming up here and taking the time to do this and help us put it in. And Make sure that the TV cable's right, because that's key. You
It's key.
cannot do this without the correct TV cable adjustment.
You absolutely cannot. And like I said, I can do the best work in the world, but if the TV cable's not right, you'll be lucky to get it around the block.
So when you took this apart, it did have a bunch of billet parts in it.
It definitely did. It had overdrive planet ring gear, very similar like what I would build for a stage 3. So we input shaft. So I mean, this transmission right here, in one of your videos we talked about 1,000 horsepower. This is a good example of a transmission that you could put 1,000 horsepower to in the right application. If the TV cable's right.
Which it was not.
It definitely was not.
And we didn't even have wide open throttle before.
You were not getting wide open throttle, no. No, we got that all squared away.
So if it didn't get wide open throttle, then the TV cable never got pulled all the way out.
Absolutely never did. No.
So we were just fighting an uphill battle in every direction. When you took it apart, it had some clutches that were burnt up in it a little bit.
Yeah, it had the direct clutches were burned up. The band, surprisingly, was actually in pretty good shape, but the clutches were burned up. That'd be caused from low pressure because since we weren't getting wide open throttle, you were applying power that we didn't have pressure up to accommodate. So what it was doing is just eating itself up, just burning the clutches a little bit more and more as you're driving it, which in all honesty, that's typically when it isn't at wide open throttle these transmissions come apart. It's when you're driving around when you think you're not applying anything, where you don't have enough torque for, or you don't have enough pressure for the torque you're applying just during normal driving. That's when they typically get hurt.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you.
There's no problem. Like I said, we got it ready to go. You guys can take it from here.
Lonnie drove 2 hours one way up here to help us put this transmission in. Unfortunately, it took longer than we expected, and Lonnie had a prior engagement at 7 o'clock this evening. So Kenny and I finished up putting the Biscayne back together and firing it up for the first time with a brand new ATM carburetor and prepared to take the car out for its first test drive.
Leaves are falling all around. I was on my way. Thanks to you.
Here we go. Now, I've got to admit, there was a pit in my stomach as we pulled out of the driveway for the first time to see if this transmission was actually going to work right or not. 204R transmissions are known to be extremely finicky.
Hey, that's better.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a lot better. Now let's see if it shifts it wide open.
Sometimes I grow so tired, but I know I got one thing I got to do. Live alone. But now the time is coming now. Sing my song. I'm gonna round and round and gonna find my girl on my way. I've been this way 10 years to the day. Live alone. I'm gonna find the queen of all my dreams. Got no time for spreading rumors. Time's come to be gone. And though our health we drank 1,000 times, it's time to ramble on.
All right, guys, so the old Biscayne is ready to go. We can start testing and making some passes with it at the track, get some ET slips on it. Super excited about that. Also this week, I've got that CVF Serpentine kit coming in. The air conditioning kit's already in at Jegs. But before we get into all that, I'm kind of itching to do some tweaking. I'd like to maybe put an MSD ignition system in it, an MSD distributor, lock the timing out, and then I'd really like to swap an intake on it, put a single plane on it, and start doing some tuning and just see how much power we can get out of this thing and how good we can get it to run. The old carburetor that we took off was actually a 650 vacuum secondary, and what we put on is an ATM 750 mechanical secondary. I've always had good luck with those carburetors. I really wasn't too worried about the carburetor. When we bolted it on today, I figured it would just bolt right on and run no problem, like all the rest of them always have, and it did. So I was very thankful of that, but I was so nervous about that transmission because that's such a major deal. That's a very finicky transmission. And if it didn't work right, then it doesn't look good on Lonnie, and then I feel bad. And that's part of the reason why I didn't want to take it to Dion, because I already know Dion didn't really like working on those transmissions. He hates my 700 R4. He likes to do power glides and turbo 400s and, you know, that kind of stuff. He likes race transmissions. These are kind of street car overdrives. And he'll do them. He'll do them for me, but he really doesn't like to get involved in them. So I really wanted to take it to Lonnie. And even though I was confident in Lonnie, there was still this pit in my stomach when I pulled out of the driveway today. God, I hope this thing works. You know what I mean? Ugh. I've been through this 100 times with, other transmissions and other transmission builders years ago, where you put it in and doesn't work, and you take it out and you take it back to them and they give it back to you and they tell you some story, and then you put it back in the car and it still doesn't work right. You take it back out. After the second or third time of that, you're about ready to throw it through somebody's window. You know what I mean? And I remember those horror stories from back in my early days of going to the cheapest possible guy that would answer the phone and say, yes, I'll do it, bring it over. And don't do that. I've learned my lesson. I've learned my lesson I don't know how many times, and I was really happy when we got hooked up with Dion, because Dion's done a great job for us on all of our race transmissions. The little street transmissions, he does my 700, but he doesn't really like to mess with those too much. And I understand why, because these are very finicky. If you don't do these every day, it's very difficult. It's just like anything else. It's like me editing. I do a fairly good job of editing because I do it all day, every day. So I've gotten good at it. But if I hand it off to somebody else that's never done it, the videos wouldn't be the same. And it's the same with transmissions. It's just the way it is. The more you do something, the better you get at it. And Lonnie, he's the best at 204Rs. In other news, we're going to get that trailer put up on Facebook. If you don't follow me on Facebook, it's just my name, Bill Hoskinson. Be very careful. There's a lot of people out there that have fake profiles. Hell, there's one profile on there, the Old Man's Garage. It's not me, and it's got 80-some thousand followers. It's not even me. I don't have an Old Man's Garage Facebook page. It's just my name, Bill Hoskinson. So be very, very careful when you get on there. I will never make a comment publicly, hey, you won something, blah, 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 contact me. That's always a scammer. Don't do that. But if you want to follow me on Facebook and get in on that raffle, I imagine it's probably going to fill within a few minutes. Typically they do. The last one I did with the side-by-side, it took a little while because I was on the road. I went to lights out, and we had a bunch of personal stuff going on at the time, and it was kind of a nightmare. So that one drug on a little bit, but typically the ones that Billy and I do fill pretty fast. So anyway, good luck to everybody. If you want to get in on that raffle for the trailer, it's a really nice trailer. It tows very nice. Very, very nice. Billy's trailer tows very nice. Everything I've ever seen those guys do, all the trailers they've built, I have seen no reason not to trust those trailers. They're really well-built trailers. So I'm going to hop off here for tonight, guys. I'm going to wrap this video up. I'm going to go ahead and get some sleep. I'll work on voiceovers tomorrow, and hopefully I'll have this video up Monday night. So thank you all for watching, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing. I appreciate you all very, very much. Whoops, it's Monday, and I forgot to add something to the end of the video. Hey, if you want to get entered to win the Bisquick Drag and Drive Starter Kit, the 68 Biscayne we've been working on, go to theoldmansgarage.shop. All the information you need is on the website. It's a whole new website. It looks totally new. There's tons of new merch on there. Check it out. Get entered. Good luck to everybody. I hope everybody's having a good time. The weather's starting to change. It's time to get the hot rods out. It's time to get them cleaned up. I'm going to head into Jack's Wax here pretty soon, start getting my detailing supplies filled up. I can't wait to see who wins this Biscayne. Can't wait to see who wins the trailer. Congratulations to Adrian and his dad who won the side-by-side. See y'all in the next video. Thanks, guys.